She's a winner.
And welcome to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, where you take enlightened entrepreneurs, coaches, and influencers together to discuss cutting-edge topics in the world of relationships, culture, business, and spirituality. And here's your host, Miss Carol Boston.
Hello, everybody. I wish I was still holding up that glass of bourbon. That was an evening photo shoot, though, but it sure was fun. Welcome to South Florida. You know, I'm your weather girl. Take a look at the amazing weather behind me. I'm on the second story of a 3-story townhouse in beautiful downtown Wilton Manors, Florida, just a little bit north of Fort Lauderdale. And this still is the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. We've got several things going on that we get to do in the background. Excuse me, to change the name of the show and change the intro and outro and make sure the technical stuff is working right. So we'll give you a due date on that. My amazing assistant was telling me some things that we do get to do. And one of them is for anybody going forward who wants to be interviewed on my show, you get to crack your code. I think we've settled on a new name for the show, Crack Your Code, Reframe Your Life. And I can give you so many examples, but what's cool is I'm going to be able to bring on experts who've been cracking codes, who are 5-level certified and iOS trainers in the bank methodology, which was started by Cherry Tree over 20 years ago. It has 2 patents. It is the only scientifically validated communication tool that lets you understand somebody's buying values in less than 90 seconds. I was going to hold up my 4 little cards, and in a hurry, I didn't get to bring them. But these 4 cards have the buying values on them. And so the other day, I was coaching a new client, and any new client I work with gets to what? Crack their code first, right? We're going to crack your code. And that helps me know better how to communicate with you. And as we were sitting on the Zoom initially, I said, thank you for cracking your code. May I, you always ask for permission, right? May I tell you a little bit about you? And she kind of looks at me funny and she goes, well, yeah. So I'm looking at her code and I start telling her, and she's like, that's exactly like me. And I said, this is your stress code. And this is what you typically do under duress. And her eyes flew up and she goes, oh my God. I said, look how well I know you in 90 seconds or less. Way, way cool. So, of course, the company wants to crack 8 billion codes, right? There's 8 billion codes on the planet. And I was telling someone just the other day that if they wanted to, if Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez had cracked their codes and gone through the training program, they may well could have saved their marriage. I've seen it save marriages. I've seen it save mother-son relationships. So I'm really, really excited about that. We're in the middle of rainy season here. I was just telling my assistant how awesome it is that it's not pouring down today. Well, it did early this morning, but not all day like we've had some days recently. I have recently moved, like just in the last 3 or 4 days, and still don't have all my boxes here because of the rain, and I have an injured knee. We don't have to go into that. I'm having an experience of pain in my knee, which is how they teach you to say it so that you don't claim it and you don't own it, right? And it's something that's hard for all of us to do, is to understand that anything after the words I am is an invocation. For those of you who followed my show, you know that I have a contract with myself that's what? I am a powerful, courageous, loving leader. Powerful, courageous, and loving. And I get to keep that in front of me. And remember, after I am is an invocation. I ams are statements that I work with every single client of mine on. And I've started working with every client that I coach for Andy Enriquez's mastermind program. Whew, and is that getting busy? I have like 6 clients on Monday alone, getting busy, getting good results. And so that's always fantastic. What are you saying? Are you even aware of what you're saying after the words I am on a regular basis? So I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, I was working at a store that I'm building a leadership program for. And one of the ladies goes, I'm tired. I'm so tired. She's less than half my age. I have more energy than everybody there. And I'm like, of course you are. And she looked at me like, why do you say that? I said, because you claim it all the time. Every single time I see you, you say, I'm so tired. Well, of course you are. What are you saying after the words, I am? Have you taken the time to write out 10 powerful I am statements? And these are not just statements where you're owning something that's already true for you. When I have my clients first craft them so I can help them make them as powerful as possible, we start off with, give me 10 I am statements that tell me who you are, personally and professionally. But then we get to recraft some of them. Because it's biblical, God says you must believe and then you see. You must call things that aren't as though they are. So who are you claiming to be? Do you want to be a powerful CEO of a fast-growing whatever kind of business you have? Are you claiming that? Well, I'm not. My business isn't growing fast, Carol. You must believe and then you see. You must claim it first. I had a client back in 2018-19, female family lawyer, and one of her statements that I gave her, now I get my clients to stretch, not stress, but to stretch. And so some of these are stretch statements. And the statement I gave her for one of her I ams was, I'm a powerful CEO of a fast-growing law firm. She looked at me like I'd lost my mind. She said, my law firm isn't growing. Why the hell you think I hired you? I said, would you agree to do this morning and night, twice a day, every day? You can print them out and put them in a sleeve and put them in your shower, do them 3 times a day. But first thing in the morning, last thing before you go to bed, stand up, give it energy, and own it as if it were yours. She said, yeah, I'll do that. So we set up her 10, off she goes. I don't know, maybe a couple of months went by. It could have been 10 or 12 weeks, I'm not sure. And I had an office back then, a physical office before COVID. And she was already taller than me, and she had on heels. So she walked in, I'm kind of looking up at her. She looks at me very serious, and she goes, I'm a powerful CEO of a fast-growing law firm. I said, yes, you are. And it was the first time she truly owned it. She embodied it. She didn't just believe it. She owned it. Part of her testimonial is I got more clients in 6 months of working with Carol than I had in the first 4 years of my law practice. Hello, what is that? A fast-growing law firm. You got to claim it. Fast forward a couple of years, 2021, they were having their first in-person luncheon for a women's organization at the Tower Club of Fort Lauderdale, and they invited me to come speak. And so I did. It was awesome. Love being in the energy of being in the room. And, oh, wait, Jeff Purdue Atkins is here. Oh my gosh. He's my road lizard. He's been traveling. I don't think he and I've talked in 2 or 3 weeks. And he too has a birthday coming up. Jeff says, I'm a loving, compassionate, and powerful leader who is creating a truly awesome life, not only for myself, but for those who are those who are in my sphere of influence. Powerful and awesome. And yes, you are. Yes, you are, Jeff. Thank you so much for showing up today. I don't know. I think it's the first time we've been live in like 4 weeks. My PC was having StreamYard problems. Got talked into going to a Mac. Last week, my Mac wouldn't connect to StreamYard. But today it does. It's amazing what happens with persistence. So there I was, Tower Club, Fort Lauderdale, February 2021, speaking to this women's group. And I always eat after I speak. So I went over and I sat down, and most everybody had left by then by the time I sat down to eat. But my past client was sitting there waiting for me at the table. And so I said, hey, Cindy, how's business? She reaches over, pats me on the arm and says, oh my God, it is continuing to explode. I brought on another assistant. I brought on a paralegal, and I'm interviewing partners. Now she has a partner in her business that is what? Still exploding, still growing, because she owns that she's a powerful CEO of a fast growing law firm. What are you claiming? So I'm in a leadership program. You've heard me speak briefly about it. I think we're in week 9 of 13 weeks, and it's Be, Do, Have Leadership. And I was transparent and candid enough to say that I got in because in certain areas of my life, I really don't like who I'm being. And we all have our own blind spots, right? That's why we all get to have a good coach, because we can't self-correct things. We can't see because we're not looking from the outside in. We're looking through our own lens, right? We're in our jar. You've heard me say it. You can't read the label when you're inside the jar. And we're all in a jar. And yet, the very answers that we're looking for are where? Right outside our jar. That's one of the reasons I teach and train on empowering questions, how to get the answers that you really want. Let's draw those answers, excuse me, into your jar. Well, hello, look who's here. Light worker Christina Will Spears says, good to see you. Good to see you too, Miss Christina. Tell us who you are as a leader. I'm a powerful, courageous, loving leader. And Jeff says he's a loving, compassionate, and powerful leader who's creating a truly awesome life, not only for himself, but for anybody who's in his sphere. Let the world know what you're doing, Christina. So I'm telling you all this for a reason. So we jump in the first week of this coaching program, and they gave us a page of about 300 values. And I may have briefly talked about this a few weeks ago, but it bears repeating because it's going to tie in with what we're going to read today from Ayan Levanzan. Who's been missing my Ayan Levanzan book for the last month, right? So they gave us a list of about 300 values, and you could only pick your top 10. Of course, my eyes kind of bugged out. I thought, So I picked 20, and I narrowed it down to 10. Good girl. So then I went on to the next part of the homework, watched Jim talk to me on the video, and he was talking about how he works with a lot of entrepreneurs, especially heart-centered entrepreneurs. Who knows, we're heart-centered entrepreneurs, right? And he said, the vast majority of them, money and abundance are not even in their top 10 values. I looked down at my list. I was like, dang, he's right. It's not in my top 10. And then it was this, if you're speaking to me, he goes, I bet it's not even in your top 20. Guess what? Wasn't in my top 20. So he takes us through a completely different exercise. My top 3 originally were faith. Those of you who follow me know it's faith, fitness, and gratitude. And one of the cool things I got to do is I got to do a study in the words and their meaning. For example, I thought, do I value gratitude or do I value gratefulness? So I looked them up. Gratitude is proactive, is an attitude of choice. I value gratitude. Am I grateful for things? Absolutely. But the value of gratefulness is in being grateful for somebody or something having happened to you or for you. It's reactive. Then I'm looking at my list. Do I value candor or do I value honesty? Better look those up. I value candor because you can be honest without being candid. Come on. How many of you beat around the bush? Well, I'm telling the truth, but you beat around the bush, right? So I got to do this amazing study, and I got to pick the top 3 ways of being, my values that I get to step into and learn to be on a consistent basis so that I'm in alignment with what I say I want. How many of you know sometimes I have felt that I wasn't even clear on what I wanted? Clarity is power, folks. When you get clear, it is amazing. Jeff will tell you, he is totally clear what he's creating. And Jeff says, candor, baby. Exactly. And you can be candid without being rude or mean, right? Honest and to the point. Honest and to the point. Oh, there's Christina again. She says, I am holding space for others to open to their true, authentic aspects with divine love, flow, sovereignty, and divine truth. Awesome, Christina. Jeff says, I happen to know that. Ooh. Thank you, Mr. Jeff. Thank you. Thank you. So in doing the rest of the homework, I kept my top 3, faith, fitness, and gratitude, but they became my bottom 8, 9, and 10. What would compel me to do that? I have those nailed. My faith doesn't waver. I know everything that goes in my mouth, liquid or solid. I don't even understand how people don't go to the gym and work out. So faith, fitness, and gratitude. Showing up in gratitude for each thing that comes along the way. My top 3 that I get to improve on so that I am consistent in these top 3 behaviors. The first one is in the title of our talk today, when I string this out to face yard, self-integrity. It's integral. Integrity. Are you keeping your word? Not just to other people. Are you keeping your word to yourself? My top 3 became integrity, abundance, and money, because without abundance and money, we have what? No expansion. Expansion is our ripple effect. It's how we reach and help and teach more people. So we get to value money for what it is and what it can help us do to help others. So it became integrity, abundance, and money. And my third one was completeness. One of the things I didn't like about who I was being, and there are people watching this that can attest to this, I stopped following through on a consistent basis. I wasn't completing everything I started. And I was thinking, what happened to me, man? I was known as the queen of follow-up in corporate America. I mean, now I'm the queen of reframe, but the queen of reframe gets to follow up, right? And complete what we started. So I have about half a dozen different colored 3x5 cards that have those 3 things on them. One of them's in my car. I see this in several places every day to be reminded I am integral. Integral. Keeping my word. Am I there 100% yet? Nope. But I'm on my way. Christina says, good to connect. I was thinking about you just the other day. Was your ears ringing? Was that you? It was making me dizzy. I'm just kidding. No, my ears weren't ringing, but my knee hurts like hell. Could you help me with that? Send me some love and light. I could stand up and show you the big old brace I have on it, but we're not going there today, right? What top 3 ways of being, what top 3 values do you get to own and adapt and get consistent in so that you can have what you say you want? Those are my top 3. Integrity, abundance with money, and completeness. Completeness. Jeff says, but do you honor your word? What is the difference to you, Jeff, in honoring and keeping your word? Are you saying they're the same thing? Let me know in the comments so that I can respond appropriately. If they mean the same thing, no. And I mainly wasn't keeping my word to me. Much more so than not keeping my word to somebody else. Right? And that's true for 99% of my clients. It's true for most people. As a matter of fact, of all the people that I've interviewed, all the people that have been in front of me that didn't become clients, all the people that did become clients, I asked that question. Would you say on a more often than not, you keep your word to yourself or other people? Only one person has ever said to me, I keep my word to myself first. That was awesome. Don't hear that very often. Jeff says, no, you won't always be able to keep your word, but you can always honor it. And so honor it means following up at a different time, I think what you're saying. Christina says, knees connect with our ancestral knowledge and the healing aspects from our ancestors. And then Christina says, it's challenging to do so. It is. It's very challenging. I don't know anybody that walks in self-integrity 100% of the time without failing. But this dude I'm learning from is really close. He's quite amazing. Oh, his brother-in-law is a shaman. He's been studying with a shaman for over 24 years. And some of the stories are quite amazing. Quite amazing. So that's why I got into this program. It was at the time in my life where I had been to his free 3-day thing before. And then just a few months ago, I guess it was in May, maybe. I actually think it was around my dad's birthday. About 5 months after he passed. And it just seemed like I went through another one of his 3-day free trainings. It was a little bit different this time. And the things that I were writing down, the things that were really gnawing at me, it was time. I get to change who I'm being. So yeah, it can be challenging to do so. Let's hear how we're going to tie Ayanna Van Zan into that today. This is the month of September. It's our first Wednesday in September, and the theme of September is trust. At the beginning of the month, she says, if there is something worth putting your butt, B-U-T, on the line for, you must put your butt on the line. If your butt gets cut off, you must trust that you will be able to get along without it. As long as you have a butt to rest on, you trust yourself. Now, how many of you know she's not talking about a B-U-T-T equal to an ass? We'll say things and we'll go, but. I really like you, but. Well, I really meant to do it, but. That's what she's talking about. As long as you have a butt to rest on, which means you have what? A plan B, a backup plan, you will not trust yourself. When you figure out how to get along without a butt, you will know the meaning of trust. Jeff, I'm going to come back to your comment in just a minute. So today's is, I experience and express the power of trust because I'm no longer willing to betray myself. Hello, self-integrity. Every time I don't keep my word to myself, I betray myself. Every time any of us, we betray ourselves. And every time, even though it's insidious and we can't see it or feel it, we erode self-trust. What are you doing on a consistent basis that erodes your self-trust so much that you don't step out and do the very thing you say you want to do? She says, let's say you put your trust in someone only to discover that they are untrustworthy. Now you are hurt. You are disappointed. You're also mad as all get out. The question is, are you angry with the person who betrayed your trust? Or are you angry with yourself for trusting them? I would say 9.5 times out of 10, I'm angry with myself. I was angry with myself last week. I can't believe I let somebody talk me into buying a Mac and an iPhone. I mean, I couldn't get things to go right. I was angry at me, not at the dude that sold me this. He loves it. He believes in it. Swears it's going to change my life. Well, it was changing it at the time, but it didn't feel like it was for the better, right? Or are you angry with yourself for trusting them? If you are like most people, you will acknowledge that you are more angry with yourself. And that's what Christina says. I'm angry with myself. Exactly. Me too. Put it in the comment, Jeff. Yana, you are not alone. When we open ourselves to another person, we expect them to behave. When they don't, we think we should have known better. Those of you who follow me know we take the word should and shouldn't out of our vocabulary because it's always about what? A make wrong. We're going to make ourselves or somebody else wrong. There is, however, a flip side to this coin. Somewhere in the process of trusting them, we forget to trust ourselves. When this happens, we feel, shall we say, rather stupid. Rather than admit this, we put the heat on the other person. It is easier to be mad at someone else than it is to sit around feeling stupid. There is always a lesson in betrayal. Learn to trust yourself. There's a way to avoid being on the stupid end of being betrayed. Go back to the beginning of the experience and ask yourself a series of questions. Did you miss a sign? A lot of times we call it what? A red flag. Did you ignore a signal?
Red flags is a form of the noun red flag, which is usually defined as the symbol or banner of a left-wing revolution.
Either Alexa or Google just heard me, and I'm listening to a definition of a red flag. Oh my goodness. Did you ignore the signal? Did you see the potential of untrustworthiness and call it something else? Come on. How many of us make excuses, especially for people that we love? Or, think about it in a new relationship. We make excuses for people all the time. Christina says, We get to learn from the situation, and always, exactly. If you did, she says, that's why you feel stupid. The actions of the other person are simply reminding you not to do that again. What does Maya Angelou say? When somebody shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Until today, you may have been angry at someone who betrayed you when the truth may be that you betrayed yourself. Just for today, make a list of all the experiences in which you feel you have been betrayed. Include a brief synopsis of what occurred between you and the other person or people. After reviewing the list, ask yourself, when did I first see the signs? What made me choose to ignore the signs? What was I really trying to accomplish? Remember what you saw and felt, and next time, trust yourself. Today, I'm devoted to understanding the difference between betrayal and self-betrayal. Jeff says, I have no idea what you're talking about, ignoring symbols and signs. Laugh out loud. Exactly. And I'm going to go back up a couple of paragraphs real quick. We got about 4 more minutes. She says, rather than admit this, we put the heat on the other person because it's easier to be mad at someone else than it is to sit around feeling stupid. So for those of you who follow me also know I was in a very toxic relationship that ended about 8.5 years ago. And in November of 2015, when I was in transition from losing my corporate job to starting a coaching business, Christina says, when we ignore the signs, we ignore aspects of ourselves. Exactly, right? Because oftentimes signs are mirrors, right? So there I was in November 2015 at home, and my girlfriend at the time came in, and now think about this. She had 2 degrees. She was an RN. She had her Juris Doctorate. She was a law degree, carried those very proudly. And she looks at me, and listen to what she said, her exact words. I don't even understand this coaching business you're starting. You are so stupid. Now, most people would have gotten upset. What are you doing? Calling me stupid, blah, blah, blah. It didn't faze me because I heard what she said. Listen to what she said. I don't understand. She was feeling stupid, didn't want to admit it. So she's going to call me stupid. It was exactly what Ayanna says people do. I just calmly looked. What I wanted to say was, did you hear what you just said? That would have caused an explosion, right? Because then it would have made her look wrong. So I just ignored that. And I just said, do you think it's okay to call the person you supposedly love stupid? We get to become better listeners. How many times have you said something to someone and they look at you and said, that's not what I said. That's not what I meant. Yeah, but it's what you said, but it's not what I meant. So oftentimes we're not willing to clarify in relationships. Help me understand. This is what I heard. Is that what you really meant? Before your emotions get involved, before you explode, before the ego comes in, before you feel like you have to defend your position, which you don't, you have nothing to defend. Are you looking for clarification? We said earlier, what? There's power in clarity. Christina puts in capital letters, yes, exactly. Exactly. So I'm so excited to be in this program. And in all transparency, at the moment, I'm behind between tearing up my knee and moving. And I'm in the bank coaching program to get eventually certified in bank. What's that song say? We all know that sometimes I bit off a little more than I can chew. But I'm going to keep chewing. And if it takes all my weekends, I'm going to catch up and do the work. Because why? My top 3 values that I get to be in alignment with in order to be who I say I want to be and have what I say I want to have are integrity, abundance with money, and completeness. What are your top 3? I tell you what, it's an exploratory thing to go through and think you know what your top values are, and then Are those the values that you have that are going to get you to where you say you want to go, right? I love being here with you guys. It's been way, way too long. Thank you for joining me, Christina. Thank you for joining me, Jeff. Thank you to my amazing technical assistant, Aruba, who has been through the roller coaster of ups and downs. StreamYard doesn't work. Facebook doesn't work. When things were lagging so slowly, you couldn't even tolerate watching me because it was so slow. And perhaps everything is now fixed and we're ready to move forward. As I said earlier, we are in the process. We will be renaming the show, but there's a lot of things to do in the background. If you want to come on the show, remember, you're going to get to crack your code. We're going to crack your code and reframe your life. This has been Carol Boston. I'm excited to be here with you. We'll be back here next Wednesday. Come join us for another episode of what's currently called the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. And we're going to take things to the next level. Blessings to each and every one of you. Go in peace and share that peace with someone else today. Love you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, brought to you by Life Coaching Today magazine, empowering your health, your business, your community, your life. Check out the latest issue today at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.